to you. Let me just quickly sort this problem out. He did. She was there when the money came and everything, and we solved that problem. And when the guy was arrested, he later compensated daddy with, I think, 1 point something million naira. Yes, and that money was given to him and not me. And I didn't bother. So subsequently, while I was doing my TikTok thing, I was also sustaining the family. Most of the things they buy in the house, most of the things they use in the house, I was sustaining them from that money. Then daddy later joined in the TikTok stuff. The money that was making from the daddy's TikTok that he was doing, most of it was going to the wife. Some of it was going to daddy. They were solving their family problem. She cannot say she did not use TikTok money to pay school fees at some point. From the TikTok I was doing with daddy. She has never for one day come and show her face on that TikTok. I was the one running the TikTok account with daddy. She cannot say she has not used the money from TikTok to put food on their table. She cannot say they did not use money from the TikTok money to do things that would benefit their family. While I was running her TikTok account, I was running daddy's TikTok account, and I was running my account. At some point, I was choked. I had to hand over her own TikTok account to her and tell her, okay, this is how to go about it. Let me focus on myself and focus on daddy. She now said, okay, but sometimes try to carry me along. I said, okay, no problem. I'll be carrying you along. Like when we're doing starting videos, you will join us. You go to the page, you see even on daddy's page, some video it's 3 of us, some video is just me and daddy, and some video is me and her. So things were going quite smooth. There was no reason for malice. There was no confusion anywhere. In fact, at some point, I was more closer to her than I was with daddy, because there are certain conversations that I and her have that I have with her that I cannot have with daddy. So while the issue between herself and daddy was going on, um, at some point she started bringing up issue of daddy selling his property, some of his property he had, so that they can be able to fit some bills, as they were not meeting up with bills. So at that point, daddy was so, I don't know, for some reason he was unwilling to sell property. Maybe he was hoping that a job will come along, something somewhere that things will work out eventually. And also when we came back, daddy complained about the cars he left in the house, that all the cars were sold and none of them were remitted to him. In fact, that was the first issue they had in the house then. He was asking about the cars, what happened to all the cars, that all the cars were sold and none of the money, he made it quite an issue that none of the money was remitted to him. With that, I cannot say much about, because she's the only one that knows what happened to the car. I'm only making reference to it because even in Daddy Free's life, the first time she called me out, the first time anybody in this life ever called me out, was that she was the first person that ever called me out in this life. I've never had to have issue with anybody on social space. So the first time anything like that happened was when she came out and said, "Oh, this is I'll trace it back." That's why I'm starting this whole story from the beginning, so that I'll link it up to how we got to this place. Daddy came out and also made reference to his cars that were missing under the freeze life. So I'm sure it's something that some people, if you watch the video, you'll be familiar with. So fast forward to where we were in the house and they were having their issues. And then my ex-husband said he wanted to visit Nigeria. I said, okay, fine. So fast forward to when I rented my house and I moved into my house with my family were in the house. My husband later came and joined us in the house. So after I moved, when my ex-husband came, he wanted to see daddy. Around that period, as soon as I left the house, it wasn't long after I left the house. One day she called me, she was crying on the phone that daddy said he wants to leave again. That she's so scared because the last time he left for about over 2 years, and now he wants to leave again, that he doesn't want to stay in the house, that he's probably running away from responsibility and all that. And daddy that I know as of that time, he was also complaining that he's financially not okay, that staying in their house doing nothing does not suit him. So he was trying to, like he said, he wanted to go out and see if he can get job outside, maybe in Abuja, go back to Abuja or go somewhere else apart from Lagos, where maybe he can actually get help or something. So daddy later moved out of the house. He went to somewhere in Ibafor. I've never been to that place before until when my ex-husband came and he wanted to see daddy. We drove all the way, myself, my ex-husband, we drove all the way to Ibafor. When we went there, it was a building, and there was one guy, I don't want to mention his name. There was one guy that was there, that he was living with that guy, and there were so many people again in that house. I was wondering why daddy had to leave his house to go and stay in that kind of place, in that place. So daddy said that place was preferable for him to stay. I could remember vividly that the wife was also trying to reach out to the said guy, and certain times she would say when she reached out to him, he was not responsive well and all of that. They were having some issues and all of that. So daddy was there in Iba for a very long period of time, and that guy was taking care of him in Iba for a very long period of time. So when I came back, when I got Iba, I called her. I said, "This is where daddy is staying. No, that are you not going to do something about it? At least let him come back. That place, I don't think is very comfortable for him." So she said, that if he wants to move her, she cannot stop an adult from going to where he wants to stay, since his own house is not comfortable for him to stay anymore. According to her, he was running away from responsibility and stuff. They both had different view. According to daddy, there was no money, and he was trying to go and look for other means of getting money. So, and I said, okay, we are coming back, myself and my ex-husband and everything. We are coming back to Lagos, because Ibafo is almost outside the outsketch of Lagos. So she pleaded with me that day. She said, "If can we bring him back?" I said, the way I saw him, I don't think he's willing to come back. In fact, he was saying he's going to stay there for about 3 months and later go to Abuja. That's his plan. That they were working on something. The guy he was, they were working on something, on one program that could likely bring him money. I had faith that whatever it is they were working on will likely bring him money. So I said, okay. Oh. So when we came back, I had a conversation with her. I could remember vividly then. That was the first time she pleaded with me. She said, "Look, prior to when I came back, that daddy has left the house severally in a very lengthy period of time since he stopped getting jobs, since things stopped working out for him. That most of the time that he's not around, most of the time he's outside. When she contact the people he's with, she's not able to reach out to him. And now that I've rented a house and it's a 5 bedroom duplex in like very close, not very far, because when I was looking for that house, I was with them. So when I was living with them when I went to look for the house. So I didn't look for somewhere that is very far. I looked for a place that is very okay. For it was actually myself and her that went to look for the place. You understand? So we got a place that was very close. So she was pleading with me that, can daddy come and stay with me for a while? That if you, even if it's the TikTok thing that we are doing that is bringing money, let's be doing it. At least she seems small money to settle certain bills. That if it's that one that is working out, let's do it. At least she'll be able to reach out to him if he's in my place. Other than him being in certain places that she's not able to reach out with him, sometimes she cannot communicate with him. And whenever they communicate, he always end up in a fight. That at least to some certain extent he listens to me and all that. And after that for me, my mother is in the same house, my son is in the same house, my younger brother is in the same house, and my husband, my ex-husband, is actually in the same house at that time. That for daddy to come and stay with us in that house is going to be like a very big family. And I told her that I can only allow that in one condition: if his second son, that was also with us in Lagos there, can come and move in with him, so that it will be a situation of a son taking care of a father in my house. It wouldn't completely be my responsibility. So later had a conversation about it, myself, the second son, and her, and then we agreed. We said, okay, daddy will come and stay with me. Oh, after she pleaded with me, and if any of these things I'm saying, if you guys feel is lies, I'm gonna put evidences out here. So daddy finally moved in with me. When daddy moved in initially, she used to come to the house. In fact, not initially, she was coming to the house at all time. She will come. When she comes, when she wants to go, she'll take food stuff and all that things and take back to the house. I never complain. I never complained. I was treating her like my mom. Even my mom would sometimes say, I'm treating this woman more than I'm treating her. Her friend would attest to it. Her friends always say that I have so much respect for her. The kind of respect I have for her, they've never seen anybody that respected her like that. You know, I used to call her mommy. I don't even call her by her name. Most people my age call her by her name. What they call her is Stella. I call her mommy. And she introduced me to all her friends, telling her friend that I'm a daughter to her. It's one of her friends that has salon very close to my house. She told her friend that I'm a daughter. In fact, when this whole issue happened, the friend called me and she said she's surprised that this same person that was telling me that you've done this for her, you've done what happened? How did things went this bad? How did things escalate like this? What really happened? You know? When I said I was closer to her than I was with daddy, most time when she wants to do something, she'll come and meet me and tell me to tell daddy. Like when she started talking about daddy selling property, she went to meet daddy severally and told him about selling property. Daddy quite didn't sit well with it. She had to come to me and say, please help me talk to him. He listens to you. Talk to him in a way you understand. Because if I'm talking to him, he will think, oh, I'm doing this because I want to use the money for my selfish reason. Let him see reasons that he needs to sell this property so that they can take care of the kids and everything. And I went to daddy. I quite cried for him. I said, please look at the situation the family is right now. The reason people own property is so that when things are bad for them, they can be able to sell the property and settle some of their issues. At one point, okay, fast forward to when daddy started living in the house. She was coming, she will come and go and all that. Fast forward to when she now said he should sell the property, one plot of land. Now, this is when the matter became tricky. So when daddy moved in not so long, she started pleading that daddy should sell a plot of land. I still have some of the communication on WhatsApp and everything when she was even sending me screenshot of a copy of where the land is and everything. And that land, somebody was in charge of the land, you know. So daddy sold that land, you know. When daddy sold that land, they both agree on a certain amount of money. I think that land was sold for about 3 million naira. She said she wanted daddy to give her 1.5 million naira or 2 million naira. Daddy said what he was able to give her around that period was 700,000. So she kept insisting that out of the 3 million naira, he should. Okay, the money that even came was not up to 303 million naira because the person that sold the land took his own percentage of about 200,000 naira. So the money that came was about 2 point something million. And she said out of that 2 point something million, she wanted daddy to give her about 2 million plus. I know why I'm talking in details because I want you guys to really understand certain things, you know. So when daddy now finally accepted to give her 700,000, she called me again. Say, Jasmine, please talk to him now. Talk to him. And I don't know how she calls him, how she address him is this man. That is what if you check all our chat, is this man, this man. In our message, in our conversation, mostly how she address him is talk to this man now and talk to this man. At least let him do let's use this money for something useful and all of that, you know. So daddy now said okay, he was going to give 700,000. At some point I was like, okay daddy, let's be reasonable. At least let's at least clear the children's school fees, add it to whatever that is coming up from TikTok, clear the children's school fees and all that. So I can't remember per se how much daddy said sent that period, but I'm sure it was either 1 million or 1 million plus. After daddy now sent that money to her, the next day she started calling that she wanted 12,000. After that, he had sent over a million naira or a million naira to her, that she wanted 12,000. She called him that he was lambasting her on the phone, that she wanted me to go and talk to him again. And I said, Mommy, this one, I will not involve myself. The house is not far. You can either take she has a, of course she has a car. Then I said you can either take a car and come to the house and convince him yourself to send you the 12,000, because I know what it was for me to even talk about making that 700,000 1 million now for me to go back and ask him for 12,000 just a day later, that I cannot do it. So she got pissed. She started calling me. At some point, I said, okay, let me go and talk to daddy. I went to talk to daddy. Daddy said, that even this money he's keeping, he's not going to spend it. There's also keeping it for food and everything if they need anything. Because while he was in my house, he's feeding his hospitals, because after he came from hospital, of course, we're still buying hospital to regulate his heart and everything. So the medications he was taking for his heart from the hospital actually what's the name of this hospital? Living Heart Hospital is there. Go and make inquiries. I was always going to that hospital, Living Heart Hospital, to make sure that he was okay. I was always buying his drugs every two weeks. You can go there and make inquiries. The receipts are there in that hospital. While he was in my house, all the medicine they wrote for him to be taken from that previous hospital, I make sure he never missed any of his drug for one day. So he said, the money that was remaining, that he was actually going to give it to her, but at least she should give it some time, that he just gave her 1 million, that's their issue. So she started calling me. I told her that, I've tried to talk to daddy about sending you extra 12,000. The same thing he told you, the same thing he told me, that he's unwilling. She called the son. The son tried to talk to daddy, and daddy was still unwilling to send her 12,000 naira. That how can he send 1 million today? Just yesterday that she's asking for 12,000 naira. The next thing, there's this other girl. I don't want to give her cheap publicity. There's this other girl that, in fact, I don't even, let me not just give her any publicity at all. There's this other girl, she went on daddy's Instagram, she started insulting me on daddy's Instagram, threatening my life and saying all sorts of things. And this was the same girl daddy's wife was warning me about, telling me, oh, this girl, this is what